Every time we log onto YouTube, we are bombarded with the newest release of expensive camera equipment. It takes discipline to escape YouTube without falling down an Amazon-sized rabbit hole that will bury its way into the depths of your bank account. But not every gear purchase needs to leave you feeling like you need to get a side hustle driving for Uber. In fact, there are a handful of really useful things that I use on almost every shoot that won't break the bank. So in this video, I'm going to share 6 useful tools for filmmakers that are all under $25. The last item on this list is one that I can't believe I just recently purchased because it has already started to save my knees and my eye lines. So stick around for that one. Let's get into it. Hey, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Austin Meyer. I'm a freelance documentary filmmaker based in Oakland. I'm a National Geographic Explorer, and on this channel I share the field-tested skills, mindsets, and lessons that have helped me on my journey as a documentary filmmaker. So the list of items that I've put together today is not made up of off-brand lenses or knockoff drones that you'll have to replace after your first flight lands in the ocean. It's not made up of low-quality gear that will end up in the garbage after one shoot. These are 6 items that I use all the time, and that just happen to not cost much. There will be links in the description in case you want to grab any items for yourself. The first item on this list is the Tiffen UV Protector Filter. At the moment, I own 5 lenses, and 4 of those lenses have a Tiffen UV Protector Filter that lives on them pretty much all the time. In fact, the video you are watching right now is being shot on a Sony 24-70 lens with a Tiffen UV Protector Filter on the front of it. A UV Protector Filter is a clear filter that helps to absorb ultraviolet light and reduce the bluish cast of daylight. However, I don't use the filter because of that. I use it more as a protective filter over my lens. That's because I throw a lot at my lenses. From mountains to forests to filming with animals, I don't shy away from getting my lenses out into the elements. So having an extra layer of protection that helps to reduce dust and moisture from reaching my lens is really nice to have. As evidenced by this clip that was one of the first that I ever shot as a video journalist at the LA Times back in 2015. Yeah, the receiver really has to do better on that one for me. A UV protector filter is not going to protect your lens from any big drops, but for me, I appreciate that little bit of protective insurance. Now, if you are to search for UV protective filters on B&H, you can find options from $7 all the way to $100. And I totally hear people who are like, hey, you spent all this money on a lens, why ruin it by putting a cheap piece of glass on the front of it? But in my experience with UV filters, it really just doesn't matter. My Tiffen UV filters cost like $10 to $17, and I don't see any loss of image quality or vignetting that bothers me at all. Occasionally, if I am shooting into very bright lights, like at a sports stadium at night, I will get some lens flares, but I actually like that look. So if you don't, they are just easy enough to take off. Essentially, I've used these $17 filters on big budget documentary projects for Hulu and HBO and never second guessed them. So if you're in the filter game, my advice is to go cheap on the UV protector filter, and then spend your money on a nice variable ND filter if you're shooting on a camera that doesn't have built-in ND. One note on these Tiffen filters is that I always take them off if I am adding another filter to the end of my lens. So if I'm shooting outside on my A7S III and want to use a variable ND filter, I will take the Tiffen filter off and then put it back on when I'm done with the ND. Otherwise, when I stack filters, I often get some vignetting that affects the image. But overall message on this one is that there is no need to spend 10 times the price on top-end UV protector filters. The second item on this list is a small roll of neon-colored Gaff tape. Personally, I ordered this $17 pack of 5 colors, and I found a bunch of use cases for them. The other week, I was filming a commercial project for the New York Stock Exchange, where we interviewed CEOs on a set that had a bunch of lighting fixtures and a bunch of light stands. It was a small room that didn't have a ton of space, so some of those stand legs edged out a bit into the walkway. We had black stand legs jetting out over a black carpet, and we were worried that people might trip on the stands when they came in. So we took some of this neon Gaff tape, taped the legs to call attention to them, and it was a success. No one tripped. I also use this neon Gaff tape as a label maker. Whenever I get new external hard drives, I will wrap the drives with some of this tape and label the drive with its name and date range that corresponds to the footage that is on it. I like this tape because when I write on it with a black Sharpie, the ink doesn't wipe off. I also will use this tape whenever I am passing off memory cards to a DIT or to remember which cards need to be backed up in which way. I'll put a little piece of this neon tape on the card for which camera or card it is. So A1 for A camera card 1, A2 for A camera card 2, and so on. The neon colored tape is perfect for all those moments when you want to catch the eye. The third item on this list is the Bubblebee Lav Concealer, a $17 item that once again I use on every documentary shoot where I'm running my own sound, which is most ones. The Bubblebee Lav Concealer is my go-to when it comes to mounting and hiding my Sanken Cos 11D microphone on the people I am filming. The mount is soft, pliable, and also acts as a shock mount, protecting the microphone capsule from vibrations and friction. When you order the Lav Concealer, it comes with a wire clothing clip, a wire fabric guard, and 6 pieces of Lav Concealer tape that fit to the back of the concealer. I think the wire fabric guard is a really nifty feature of the Lav Concealer. When I tape this mount to a participant's shirt or their skin, instead of their shirt rubbing up and down on the microphone, the shirt rubs against this fabric guard, which means I get less rustling. If you order the Lav Concealer, just make sure that you get the one that is specifically designed for your microphone. Each of the Bubblebee Lav Concealers fit their specific mic capsule like a glove, so it's not a one-size-fits-all purchase. The fourth item on this list is a white balance card. Have you ever been setting up for an interview and right before pressing record, you're searching the room for any white piece of paper you can find to help you set your white balance? That's where the white balance card comes in. Specifically, I use the Quick Balance Collapsible 12-inch gray panel from Lightdow. This $9 card zips up into this little carrying case and pops out to a 12 by 12 panel. One side of the panel is 18% gray, while the other side is neutral white. I never use this card to help me set my exposure settings, but for a little background, that is what 18% gray cards have historically been used for. On a grayscale that measures colors from white to black, 18% gray is right in the middle. It's 50% black and 50% white. So technically you could use this card to dial in settings to make sure you're exposing the scene correctly, with gray right in the middle of your histogram or waveform monitor. But like I said, I never use it like that. My use case is simple. When I'm setting up for an interview, especially when I'm using external lights, before I press record, I have my subject hold this white balance card in front of their face. Then I'll take my FX6, point the camera at the card, and take a custom white balance. I will also do this on my A7S III if I am running a 2-camera interview so that my white balances are matched between the cameras. As with all camera gear, you can find white balance cards online that are very expensive, but in my mind, save your money for other things. Just grab something simple like this so you don't have to go searching around for pieces of white printer paper. The fifth item on this list is the Pelican 0915 memory card case. This is another small yet practical item that doesn't cost much but is in my bag on almost every shoot. And assuming you are using SD cards, this can last in your kit for decades. This case is a tough, water-resistant case that holds up to 12 SD, 6 mini SD, and 6 micro SD cards in snug, form-fitting cutouts. When closed, the case has a slim form factor that doesn't take up much room in my bag, and it keeps cards safe from damage caused by water or moisture. One little organization technique I use with my card holder is to keep formatted cards on the left side of the holder and filled cards on the right side of the holder. This is a simple item that will keep your precious footage safe and sound. And that brings us to the sixth item on this list, which has been saving my knees and eye lines since I purchased it in 2023. And that is a collapsible stool. I personally have the Borman upgraded folding stool, which is listed on Amazon for $24, but I'm sure all the ones you find on Amazon in that price range are pretty much the same thing. I've been using this stool all the time, but 2 use cases stand out for me the most. The first is giving people a place to sit during interviews. Earlier this year, I was on a shoot for the North Face and I had to quickly set up an interview for an ultra running athlete I was following. I found a setting and backdrop that I really liked, got everything set up, and then right before recording, I realized that the interviewer had nowhere to sit that was at the same eye line as the athlete and the camera. I searched all over the place and couldn't find anything. And because of the rushed nature of this situation, we just had to roll with it. We started on our knees next to the camera, but eventually our knees just hurt too much. So we stood up next to the camera, which was not ideal for the interview's eye line. Now that I have this stool, I don't have to worry about that. I always have somewhere for the interviewer to sit, and I always have somewhere for the interviewee to sit. Now I can search for the best interview location and easily bring seating to it. rather than letting available seating dictate my interview location. The other use case for me has been when filming animals. I often film animals where I need to be very low to the ground for hours on end. Now, I pride myself in being able to crawl around in the dirt with the best of them, but I don't want to be on my knees or squatting all day. So now I can use this adjustable stool to more comfortably keep myself off the ground, yet still at the animal's eye level. All right, that's it. 6 useful filmmaking tools that are all under $25. In fact, most of them are under $20. I just really wanted to get the stool in there, which bumped it up just a little bit. With these 6 items, you are getting things that you can use on almost every shoot and that will be in your kit for a long time. So I hope this video was helpful. And if I missed anything that you feel is a budget-friendly must-have for the kit, drop it in the comments. If you did find this video helpful, I hope you consider subscribing or even checking out this other video I made about what I consider to be the best tripod for documentary film work. See you next week, and until then, go out and tell some stories.